The Killiks were an insectoid species native to the planet Ouroboros, better known by its later name, Alderaan. They came in a variety of sizes, colors, and proportions, but they all had several features in common. Their heads were triangular and mantis-like, with large serrated mandibles, huge compound eyes, and long antennae. Like real insects, Killiks had 6 limbs. 2 of them were used for walking, and the other 4 were arms. The Killiks were a hive-minded species connected by pheromones and telepathy. Unlike some other hive-minded species, they were not a homogeneous conglomerate. Instead, they were split up into distinct but interconnected groups called nests. Each nest had its own defining traits, abilities, or role, from inch-long spies to human-sized artists or warriors the size of starships. All nests served the collective good of the entire Killik species. Another trait that set Killiks apart was their ability to absorb non-Killiks into their nests. These non-Killiks, called joiners, often helped the Killiks communicate with outsiders. Most joiners lost their original personalities while joined, but the process was reversible. Joiners who were very strong in the Force, however, could invert the joining effect and impose their wills and desires upon the Killiks. The joiner effect, along with the sheer number of Killik nests, made the Killiks dangerous when provoked. It was for this reason that they got the attention of several cosmic entities. The first cosmic entity to target the Killiks was Thargoragorat, the Queen of Perpetual Night. She was an old one, the daughter of Tilotny and Cold Dandasine, and the sister of entities called Typhagim, Uradril, and Mungal. In appearance, she was nightmarish, a grotesque parody of a spider, with 1,000 legs and just as many eyes. She saw the Killiks as both a dangerous obstacle and a potentially powerful ally, so she set out to seduce and recruit them. Most Killiks were repulsed by her, but she did manage to seduce a few. These became known as the Dark Nest, or Gorog, which was derived from Thargoragorat's name. The next set of entities to take interest in the Killiks were a family of Valdilar called the Ones, whose names were Eligast the father, Ifa the son, and Nephal the daughter. They recruited the Killiks after the War of the Temporal Planes to construct Forbidden Zones, regions of space that were cordoned off to imprison dangerous species and entities, including Thargoragorat's sibling Mungal. The Killiks would continue to serve the Ones on many cosmic construction projects, but Thargoragorat had survived the War of the Temporal Planes, and she still had her eyes on them. When the Twilight Wars broke out, the Night Queen struck back. She experimented on the Killiks, and others under her thrall, hoping to make a new breed of warrior. After accidentally creating a species that would become the Mustafarians, she finally created a champion, Uku Soros Uku, a Sith Killik hybrid created by fusing a Gorog with a Sith warrior named Lord Soros. Once he had proven his worth as a champion, she sent him to Alsakan, a planet in the Core Worlds region that the Killiks had colonized. Remember what I said about strong joiners who could invert the joining effect and impose their will on the Killiks? Well, Uko Soros Uku was one of them. When the Killiks of Alsakan tried to read his mind, he forcibly joined them to himself, becoming the Joiner King. Under his command, they became an unstoppable force, turning every sapient being they encountered into a joiner. The Killiks under his control became known as Soros, or the Black Hive. Together with their joiners, the Black Hive greatly outnumbered their uncorrupted brethren. It took the combined effort of those uncorrupted Killiks, the Ones, and defenders called forth by the Ones to defeat the Black Hive, but in the end, the Black Hive was defeated. In the aftermath, the Ones sent the formerly corrupted Killiks to the planet Yagoi, once called Zaxax, in the Unknown regions, not to punish them, but to protect them, for they no longer had control over their joining ability. These exiled Killiks became the Thurut Nest. The Thurut Nest would go on to assist the Ones in the imprisonment of another dangerous being, Belot, the last daughter of Telotni. Belot had once been the mother, the wife of Elagast, but exposure to two force nexuses, called the Font of Power and the Pool of Knowledge, had awakened the essence of Telotni within her and twisted her mind and body into an unstable being with unimaginable power. Under the guidance of the Ones, the Killiks built two massive objects. The first was Kolaralak, the World Puller, which was used to rearrange the Corellia system and create a cluster of black holes called the Maw, where Belot would be held prisoner. The humans of Corellia would later call it Centerpoint Station. The second object, Sinkhole Station, was placed inside the Maw, where it acted as a gravitational lock to hold the black holes together without them destroying one another or their surroundings. After Belot was imprisoned, the Killiks withdrew from the galactic scene. They migrated away from Alderaan, leaving it in the hands of humans. They went on to thrive in the Unknown regions, and apart from a few clashes with the Chiss, they were uninvolved in any conflicts. Until the year 35 ABY, after the disastrous mission to Merkur that led to the death of Anakin Solo, the youngest son of Han and Leia Organa Solo, 3 individuals were rescued by Killik nests. A Jedi named Raynar Thule, a Sith named Lomi Plo, and another Sith named Welk. The nests that rescued them were the Unu and the Gorog, 2 remnants of the original Black Hive. Once again, the Killiks threatened the galaxy, and the Swarm War broke out. The Chiss aided the Galactic Alliance, who were still recovering from the Yuuzhan Vong War, and the Swarm War ended with Raynar Thule being freed from the Unu, while Lomi Plo was slain by Luke Skywalker. The Killiks were first mentioned in the Illustrated Star Wars Universe by Kevin J. Anderson. In the book, a piece of concept art by Ralph McQuarrie was used as an illustration of Alderaan, and it featured large green structures called Killik Mounds. Almost a decade later, the species made their debut proper in The Joiner King, the first book of the Dark Nest trilogy by Troy Denning. It was those books that established much of the Killiks' lore, revealing them to be ancient, hive-minded insectoids with a predilection for palindromes and the ability to assimilate other species into their hives. After their major role in the Dark Nest trilogy, the Killiks returned in Apocalypse by Troy Denning, the 9th and final book in the Fate of the Jedi series, which established their history with the being Abeloth, aka Belot in Supernatural Encounters, and the Ones, aka the Force Wielders, from the 3rd season of the computer-animated series Star Wars The Clone Wars. Thargoragrat, the eldritch, spider-like abomination that terrorized the Killiks during the Cosmic Wars, first appeared in Supernatural Encounters by Joe Bongiorno. Because of her significance to the Killiks' story, I wanted to include her in my drawing. I decided to depict her as a vaguely spider-like mass with legs in all the wrong places and a leering, Spiritomb-esque face on her abdomen. And now, here is the finished piece. I wanted this piece to include key characters from the story of the Killiks, as well as showing some of the variety within the species. My design for the Killiks was a mishmash of their pre-existing designs, taking many features from their depiction in The New Essential Guide to Alien Species. I also included a larval Killik from the video game Star Wars The Old Republic. In the background, a row of Killik mounds marks the horizon, above which loom the cosmic entities that influenced the Killiks over their long history. On the left is the hideous Thargoragorat, and on the right are the benevolent but equally frightening ones. That's all I have to say about the Killiks. I hope you all enjoy this drawing, and tune in next time for the next species, the awe-inspiring Tempestro.